Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. This is Dr. Rao. I come on here sometimes just to serve, just to give some information or answer some questions or just tell them what I'm up to, what I'm doing, right? So, in that spirit, we're going to talk about practical spirituality that I always engage in, that I kind of help people to get answers to and practice them in their life. Okay. So I'm not religious in the sense of believe and do. I'm in the spirituality of self inquiry and finding out things and be knowledgeable about things, be enlightened by how things work and apply them in our life, right? So that's what I am about, practical spirituality. By the way, this segment of people who are not religious but spiritual is the largest segment going in United States. People are educated, intelligent, and want to explore things in a way that they will be more knowledgeable about whatever they are doing and really participate in the discussions and writings or blog posting, anything that they do by inquiring into some problem, human problem, and gathering all the uh, previous sayings by other people and really employing that, okay, into the daily life, really manifesting that in daily life, okay. So in that way, the just living and then having some superficial pleasures and it could be boring after a while, right? And also, we really want to know. We don't want to be taken advantage of by anybody, right? So, this self inquiry is a process whereby you want to examine your own mind, your own feelings, your own understandings, your own conclusions, and then test them and then really put them to the scrutiny and know the real truth, and then thereby you'll be able to do lot of stuff with knowledge, with empowerment, with resilience, right? So, thank you for joining me and come up if you have any experiences like that, or you have own pursuits that you want to relate to me or tell us all. That will be most appreciated. Okay. Otherwise, let me introduce myself to the people who do not know who I am. Um, I'm a physician who studied in India, and right after my graduation, I came up to United States, and ever since I practice only in United States, more than 45 years, and retired. And now I have an online wellness company which is called BAPAL, whose goal is to provide wellness services. And I'm a CEO and also Chief Wellness Officer of that company. We provide several services, including coaching for the burnout healthcare workers like doctors, nurses, and pharmacists, and also stressed out people in information technology. Because I also have a uh, master's in biomedical informatics. Hi, Kareem. So I was really enjoying this uh, going into the root of illness and helping people to prevent illness in a major way. For me, once a year preventive illness exam is nothing. You should be having more often and more on the path of wellness so that you will discover um, how you are on your wellness journey, what are the problems you have discovered, what are the problems that are brooding but not really manifested yet. That kind of early awareness, detection, and treatment of the problems that normally people go through. So it's not only just treatment. I'm not satisfied just giving them treatment, but I want to go and understand, are there any preventable things that you could do that could help you to improve your wellness? Many people are kind of lazy on this. Many people are kind of not oriented like that. They're oriented more towards go and work, 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 but they neglect themselves in the process, and they will be having problems, right? So that's why I kind of talk about proactively being well, proactive wellness. That means what is wellness is. It's not just a mere absence of disease, that is included, but it is about how healthy you feel, how well you feel, how energetic you are, how integrated you are. So that kind of, so are you healthy physically, mentally, psychologically, emotionally, socially, and also with the world? Are you in harmony? So it runs, several rungs are there on that. Okay, so you want to integrate them. Actually, you are better off when you start to integrate that. If you are satisfied with your physical health but don't care about how you are mentally, that's a big problem, right? People go into anxiety, depression, all these things in the modern working conditions, which is really not needed. Once we understand we're evolutionary as human beings, that means we are not just emotionally reacting, but we have the prefrontal cortex, which is discriminatory, and then instead of reacting to everything from your emotional center, you could react with a discussion from the prefrontal cortex, right? So that's a very simple neuroscience everybody knows about it. So are we using that? Are we engaging that? That's a question. Okay, so I kind of help people to not to be reactive to everything that you go through the day, but then see the trivialities, see the things that you don't have to react emotionally like that. Your fears, anxieties, everything that you kind of allow them to grow. Even if you are not going to successful with something, then you react very negatively as though you are not good enough. So many things, right? So prepare yourself, and the deep breathing is something that helps you quite well on that. Uh, so you be like that, and then you will be wise enough to engage your prefrontal cortex rather than the limbic system or emotional centers. One very easy thing for that is cultivate deep breathing most of the day. That means you do in the morning as preparation for work. That's where you can spend maybe 15 to 30 minutes, and then cultivate through the day once in a while. Maybe I recommend 1 minute every hour, or maybe minute or two every 2 hours or 3 hours, or maybe in the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening, something like that. Whatever works for you, but do the deep breathing as a habit. Cultivate that. That means you stop and then sit down and take deep breaths. It's as simple as that. Then you put your mind in the present mood again, and then go from there. Okay. How many people are doing this? Yeah, that's a question that we have to entertain. Once you understand this wellness measure, then you have to implement that actively, right? Consciously. If you are hi Janet, so if you can do that, that will be very good for you. Okay, so so that's a very simple thing, uh, and how many people are present all through the day? That's another simple thing. If you can cultivate present moment awareness, that means, where am I? I'm here now in Iowa. I'm sitting down in my studio, in my office, and I'm trying to reach out to people who are my friends, and then I'm trying to relate with them about importance of proactive wellness, right? So that is something that people may be doing to some extent, maybe not doing to the extent that I want. But then my duty is to just to sing out the praise of having that kind of wellness measures proactively employed will help your health and wellness, your energy and your stress will go down, and you can enjoy your relationships, your work much better if you are well and moving about and really able to do the stuff that you want to do. Okay. But if you don't do that, if you allow yourself to be sitting down all day without moving, and then you'll have the problems from it, from the inactivity. Basically, we don't move the body and we move the mind all the time. Those are the two things that we do wrong. So the simple formula is move the body, be conscious about it, that is moving all day, and keep the mind silent when you don't need to use it. That's rather really difficult for a lot of people because they are always in this perpetual thinking cycle. You don't have to be. Mind has another function, being still. A lot of people are surprised when I say stillness of the mind is another function that the mind has, and we have to implement that. Okay, and the stillness is really coordinates with the deep breathing too. When you deep breathe, your rapid thinking will cut down, and you will be more and more aware of the present moment. That means at the time when you are aware, you have a still thought, right? So thoughtless awareness, that is already there, it's like a choiceless awareness. We all have that. Live in that, and then use your instrument of mind whenever you want. Okay, then that will be wonderful to your health as a whole. Okay, so a lot of times I talk about, if you are self-realized, you have the highest health. What do I mean by that is, when you realize that you are not just this body or the thinking mind, but you are that essence which gives life to the body and the mind. So if you stay in that essence, basically your mind is still. That is the key for the long-term life of the yogis and other people who cultivated this. They used to walk, they used to sip some water from their kamandalam, and they used to sit down and do deep breathing. They used to do deep breathing when they are walking. So they did breathing much more than they consumed the water and all that. But they walked, they kept their mind quiet too. And because the mind is not moving unnecessarily or reacting to emotional or external events without any discrimination, you don't have many stress hormones. Even if you go to the hospital, if I see somebody cardiac arrest, one way is to me react very negatively and fearfully, anxiously, and then run and do that. The other way is, can I keep my emotional brain quiet and then don't have the turmoil, but then I'm able to address what I need to do. So that is really helps these people not to have any stress, because they have seen so much of life, they understood so much of life. They do not react to simple preliminary thing, but then they also have transcended the ego. So if you have ego, if you feel that you have to win, you have to get this one done, then you are more afraid and anxious, and you may react emotionally. That turmoil that you create is so. Anyway, I'm doing a couple of things coming up. One is a workshop on proactive wellness this weekend, Saturday and Sunday, and you can sign up for that. And then it will be on the Zoom. Okay. Then I have another retreat coming up in the middle of September, 12th, 13th, and 14th, where we're going to take up the retreat and then see how can we have resilience in ourselves in the presence of turmoil of your life, business wise, emotional wise, or You just are afraid and anxious or something, or you have a physical illness or mental illness that is really raking up the turmoil. People are diagnosed with cancer, diagnosed with a longer term illness, so many things, right? So, but I'm not talking about treatment of those. We will do that. But I'm talking about is how is your inner resilience? How are you to handle life? Do you want a bunch of people around you to support you, or can you rely on your inner self and then get all the self induced power or self induced resilience to face turmoils in life? That's what we're going to explore in detail. This is very common among doctors, among nurses, among IT people, among the corporate heads, who all these people I attend to, right? They all have studied, they have got the position, they got the work and all that is going on. But if you stop them and ask them, how are you feeling internally? How are you equanimous whenever there's a win or there's a loss? And most of them say, oh, no, I don't do very well. And also, a lot of people go for the crutches. Like somebody needs a drink, somebody needs some drugs or medications or whatever, right? uh, what I am saying is that we have a mechanism so that we can understand our inner milieu, inner atmosphere, inner thoughts, inner feelings, inner emotions, and all that. You cannot learn this in group. Okay, you get to turn inward by yourself and validate things by yourself. There may be great teachings from ancient time to modern times, yeah, but they are not going to be applicable to you unless you kind of live them, right? You kind of experiment with them. So there's what's called self inquiry and self sadhana, swadhyaya. Self inquiry is atma chintan. That means you want to ask, who am I really? Am I just this body and associated mind with emotions and thoughts, or is there something more? Am I with this external achievement that I have, the accumulations that I have, the properties, the money, the famous, name, or anything like that? Or is there something beyond being human? I say I kind of brought into the awareness that there is an intelligence with us. That intelligence flows through our talks, our actions. Use that intelligence, not your accumulated knowledge, not your accumulated belief, not your uh, whatever studies you do and all that, but inquiring about yourself. How am I inward? Do my thoughts race? Do I enjoy moments of stillness? Do I have kindness, compassion, love for other people and all the animals and plants? Or do I have so much self importance? I kind of created ego and then suffered because of ecogenic, so many things, right? A lot of corporations are run by the ego oriented person, and he's so egotistical. He wants everything to be done according to his way. So he will create a lot of resistance, a lot of stress, a lot of suffering, right? That's very true. So we kind of want people who are nurturers, who are giving people, who don't need anything because they are very well within. That is possible. Then your intelligence helps you to be self-sufficient, self-reliant like that. And also your intelligence flows out of you like a flower giving fragrance. It will come out of you to touch other people's lives. And then that will be really, really fulfilling to you. Don't you think so? So anybody wants to come up, you can come up and tell me, what do you think about this? Do you value this? Are you identifying that intelligence? It's not intelligence about remembering things or having real verbal capacity to talk about it. That's not artificial. I'm talking about an intelligence that shows things as they are, not from your past accumulation of knowledge, but then what you see them. Are you completely are able to see something that is in front of you, a situation, and without interpreting, without anything, to have an instinctual feeling of how to go about it? That comes from perception, that's not with a lot of data. Perceiving things as they are is a very important thing. Then what happens is you will see the things clearly, so your answer will come out of the situation, and then you will act from your own intelligence. This is far different from memory, far different from imagining future things. In here now, you are encountered with a situation. How do you respond? All that is self-study. That is the swadhyaya. You look at yourself in the event of what is happening, right? So for that, if you approach with a present moment awareness, with perception of the situation, then you'll have all the solutions also coming to you just like that from the universal consciousness or universal intelligence. Think about that. And see, are you applying that in human relations? Are you applying that in creativity activities? All that makes a difference, right? So this is what I'm going to explore in the proactive wellness. Also, we want to ensure that you are, excuse me, let me take a water. Sorry, I needed to take a sip of water. Okay. So that's the question. Are we acting from the memory? Are we acting from some imagination? Or are you acting from the intelligence in the present moment that is perceived? Okay. Perceptive attitude is way different than coming from the memory. Okay. A lot of people are not there and then they are not aware of it and they spend the whole life without coming to that place, right? So modern life is like always going out with the intellect, always going out with the sensory, gathering data and then reacting to that and all that. It has its place in the external things, no doubt. You want to develop a technology, you want to develop an easier way of laying the road, fine, that's all fine. All the data, everything is fine. But how about inner changes in a human being? How he thinks, how he feels, how he understands, how he develops his qualities of love and affection and compassion. That's where the use of intellect and the use of senses are not adequate, rather, they cause more problems. But the intuitive awareness, which is an instrument that's not familiar to modern people, not in a large scale anyway, only certain people may have. It's not that there's nobody. There are so many people who can do in the border. But I'm asking, do you work with the data when the situation in your own inner self is revealed? Or do you perceive the situation and stay with it? Suppose you are suffering and you stay with the suffering. You are aware of the suffering and you see as you are aware of it, it will be going down. Okay. So anyway, that's what I'm talking about. Perception over data or history of matters and all that. Okay, this is very important in resolution of the what we call durbala. That means weaknesses and thinking that's all human and all that. Those will be observed closely, and out of that, you will develop resilience. Okay. I hope this makes sense to you all. Okay. So um, try to attend my um, weekend workshop on the proactive wellness. It starts at 9 a.m. Central, and four sessions altogether, two sessions on Saturday and two sessions on Sunday. And uh, there should be the flyer out for sign up, and you can go and do that for me. And then I'll see you on the Zoom on Saturday morning. Um, and next month, from 12th, 13th, 14th, we will do that online retreat for resilience in times of turmoil. How can you be resilient? How can you display the strength? How can you cultivate that? There are ways. Okay, it's not like a straight from there, but it goes from subject to subject. Somebody respond very quickly, somebody do not respond quickly, but there is a path, there is a way, there is a how to reach that goal. Okay, so the destination is not that important as much as the journey is important. If you can really focus on the process, if you can focus on what's going on within you right now, that is much easier for you. Okay. So I'll be here for a couple of more minutes. After that, if anybody comes and prolongs the discussion, I'll stay on for another 15, 30 minutes. Otherwise, I think I don't want to do the monologue anymore. Um, but I was posing a fundamental question. What is intelligence? Are you intelligent in times of stress and suffering? Or are you depending on some support, either external or in the books or in the talks or whatever? I hear that all the time on this app. Let's explore together. Let's grow together. You know, that is a myth in terms of inner matters. Outward matters, yeah. If you know how to build a computer, and you can share that with me, I will learn from you, and maybe sooner or later, according to my own capacity. But I'm talking about your depressed about geopolitical situation. You are anxious about your future. You are incapable of doing a talk when you get up in front of the people. That kind of inner turmoils that people go through. They're sad because they were diagnosed with an incurable disease, right? That is real. That's not imagined. And how can you be really digging deep into yourself? By the time you should have that already. I'll tell you a story of an old man who used to be in the ancient times a ship merchant. So uh, he used to own several ships, and he used to run them on the seas to the other countries, carrying a lot of goods. Right, that was his business. And as he was getting older, his son has come up. So his son takes over, and then the old man stays back home, and this son takes the ships and goes on the sea. Few months later, somebody comes and says, "Sir, I heard your son's ship has sunk and he died with it." The old man says, "Thank God." Everybody's surprised. What do you mean? He says that, and then a few months later, another person comes and says, "No, no, no, it was a mistake. It was not your son's ship that sank, somebody else's, but your son is safe and is coming home." And then the old man again says, "Thank God." So people are puzzled that he said when he heard he died, he said, "Thank you." And they asked him, "What's going on?" Then he explains, "See, I was always taught about sthita pragnata. That means sthita pragnata means really stabilized in wisdom and doesn't have the mind to react this way or this way. So when he hears a good news or bad news, it doesn't waver. And that's why he's thanking the God for keeping his mind like that. So, the very important story for people who are on the journey of self-realization and sthita pragnata, and also liberated while living, jivan mukta. These are the words that they use for that. But basically, it's all about our inner state, how we are. You can put it aside and go and say, nothing is wrong with me. Or you can say, why should I be unhappy at all? Why should we suffering for anything in the life that's happening? That's about learning how to transcend suffering, not overcome suffering, transcend suffering, and how to also attain that inner bliss, happiness, and joy. Okay. So I'm interested in these matters. That's why I come and share with you. But I don't know how many people are really interested in this or not. But human life becomes wonderful to live if you are really realize who we are. That much I'm convinced about, and I'm always blissfully happy and joyful. And things come at me, things go wrong with the family, things go wrong with the business, things go wrong with the world and all that. But my inner self is stable. That much I can know for myself. And I also feel for people who are in suffering, and I go help them to lessen their suffering. Sometimes the suffering goes away because they are looking at a different perspective at life. Okay? They may not have heard about what is perception. They may not have inner intelligence. They may not heard about sthita pragnatas and all that. Okay, that's why they have to. All they are doing is they are sharing information with other brains at the brain level. But we are not at the brain level. We are much more beyond the brain level, the intelligence I'm talking about. Okay. So if you are at the brain level, everybody has to show you how your brain takes what the information it wants to take. Then you say, "Oh, I'm resonating with you. Oh, I'm agreeing with you," and all. But you will always be in that mode of mind only, and you will never be out of it. Try being out of the thought and being in the awareness that is thoughtless state, still the mind, but awake and alert and aware, and do stuff with that and see how beautiful that is, how effortless that is. Okay, you'll be in the flow most of the time. Okay. Okay. If there are any questions, send it to me, or if they have any clarifications you want, I'll be happy to join with you one-on-one and talk about that. Whoever is interested in these matters, they can come. I also do what's called satsang, that is associated with people exploring truth. So on different matters, you can join that too. Um, so we almost talked about 34 minutes here. So thank you, and I'll be seeing you again later. Bye bye.